Our top focus, we open this bulletin with a story of amazing resilience that Chennai is showing at a time when the entire city has been submerged underwater. India Today's Pratibha Raman caught up with some brave men who had helped rescue a pregnant woman in KK Nagar. Here's that story.
As many parts of Chennai are gaining normalcy, this is the plight of KK Nagar. Most of them here feel that KK Nagar has been neglected because this area has been reeling in this. Despite the rains that have abated since yesterday, nothing has been done to pump the water out. What we hear is a sad story of a woman who is pregnant, who is due for her delivery on the 10th of this month. And what is she going to do? No power here. There's water all around. And we are here to get into this very apartment in KK Nagar. So this is the plight. Imagine a woman who's pregnant had to cross through this to head to a safer zone. We have with us the association secretary of this very apartment, who has made sure that every citizen pulls in so that there is water that can be pumped from this very set here that you see outside this house. So I'm sure it's a lot of problems that Chennai citizens have been facing.
Definitely.
But then we are here to show the spirit of Chennai. I'm sure all of you have come together to make sure that this lady is actually, got
moving out to a safer place. Yes,
right.
we did that.
Actually talk about the spirit of Chennai.
Spirit of Chennai, see, basically all of us came together, the flat apartments people, our neighbours, everybody came together, and we are trying to, we don't get any help from the government. Nobody has bothered to even come here and inquire about us.
So how long can one share? That is the key question here. When will Chennai get back its normalcy? Areas like KK Nagar still reeling in such worse conditions. So these are some of the questions. Will Chennai ever get back to normalcy? With the Met Department having predicted at least another few days of rain, will Chennai be able to survive all this? Will Chennai face all these challenges and get back so that they could confront all of this with great bravery and come out with absolutely unhurt condition? These are some of the questions that the citizens of Chennai are posing. Pratibha Raman, Chennai, India Today.
Lakhs of people in the metro continue to be stranded in various parts with supply of essential commodities also not available. Now here's another remarkable story of a few youngsters uniting to rescue senior citizens in Chennai's KK Nagar.
Chennai lashed out with these rains, collapsing. And we are talking of Adyar River, Chembarambakam and other such areas. But what about Chennai's KK Nagar West? Let me actually introduce you to some of KK Nagar's brave hearts who actually took the initiative of helping one another, taking them on stretchers, pregnant women who were brought to a safer zone. And now their main complaint is there's absolutely no food. They're helping each other out, yes, but why did not any corporation nor a government official come and help in this very place? We are talking of water that's been stagnated. Water being pumped out in different places, but why not KK Nagar West? Is that the question? What is your question to the administration?
We ourselves helping us from the ground floor who are staying, we are shifting them to the second floor and third floor who are having food and water. We are just giving whatever we are having. We need help actually. Please help us.
There are also stories of tragedy that are emerging from Chennai. Here's a story from the Madras Institute of Orthopedics and Traumatology. Suspected lack of oxygen has left 18 people dead in the ICU. MIOT hospital was treating 575 patients when flood started. 75 critical patients were on ventilator. 57 were shifted to different hospitals. 18 patients reportedly died due to lack of oxygen supply. Now, Tamil Nadu's Health Secretary says that the reason of death remains unclear and an investigation has been ordered.
And he was at 7th floor for 2 days, and then it was full of water here. So we waited, we could not come back. My brother was staying here with him and they provided food, but there was an emergency situation.
So what is the situation now? What is that emergency situation?
So everybody is moving out of
no power?
No power.
No water? No water? What about medication?
Medication is not possible.
And what are the doctors saying in terms of how are they going to have? They are asking you, are you doing this at your own will?
Yes, we are doing it on our will. They are not providing the ambulances to reach home also.
Did the doctor say this at your own risk?
Yeah, we signed the papers and then we are taking the patient home.
There are 18 deaths. We are getting complaint from the relatives of the deceased. Depends on the complaint what they are going to make. We are going to investigate.
We've been doing the best that we can. So you have to understand that none of the monitors worked, none of the lights worked, none of the machines worked, and every single thing had to be done manually.
So what is the number of casualties?
This is in US block. So the 14 patients have lost their lives. These are patients who were unable to have ventilatory support because there was no power.
Let's get now word from Pratibha Raman, who's with us live from Chennai this evening. Pratibha, you brought us remarkable stories of how common citizens have started rescue initiatives and are helping in getting senior citizens and women who are in need of urgent medical help to safer grounds. Take us through what's happening there right now. The Met Department has predicted clearer skies in the next 3 days.
Well, that's right. But then the last one day we did see some sunshine as well as a ray of hope among Chennai citizens. But then today again it's overcast, and the sense of fear as well as panic has suddenly started to set in, especially in places like KK Nagar, where the water is still stagnated, where people have been claiming that there's been absolutely no help from the rescue authorities as well as the corporation or the officials there. So in such cases, if the water levels were to rise again, it's only going to lead to further collapse of the conditions there in such areas. I also have with me Editor South T.S. Sudhi, who actually went to central areas like Koturpuram. I'm sure the condition is even worse in a city like Chennai.
Absolutely. Koturpuram, Pratibha, is looking at a disaster. Water till about 8 to 10 feet, people refusing to leave their homes, especially in the slum areas closer to the Adyar River, and that is making the situation extremely difficult, because obviously the NDRF and the Navy and the Army teams want them to leave, so that it's more difficult to actually provide food packets and drinking water to those people, but they don't want to leave because they don't want to leave the property back home. So that is a big challenge. Given the fact that it's again raining, that's going to make matters much more difficult, because if it rains through the night, that means the water levels in most of the places will again rise. Given the fact that most of this water is actually drainage water, that is proving to be a big health concern. Number 3, if the water is again released from the reservoir, that will mean that the low-lying areas are once again inundated and waterlogged. So the NDRF and the Army teams will have to, in a sense, start from scratch all over again. So a lot depends on what happens tonight, and if it doesn't rain, probably Chennai could be a little lucky, but at this point in time, Chennai really looking at a very difficult situation in the next 12 to 24 hours.
Just like Sudhi pointed out, even this particular area was really inundated till yesterday, and it took at least about 12 hours for them to clear this water out. So further rains will only mean more damage to Chennai. So at this point in time, there is a big question mark waiting, and the challenges that are confronting Chennai. Back to you.
All right. So Pratibha, Sudhir and you are basically telling us that there are several areas of the city that are still submerged and of course are extremely waterlogged, especially low-lying areas that are close to the river. Pratibha, can you also ask Sudhir, he brought us reports I saw this afternoon from places that are low-lying areas where actually have 7 to 8 feet of water. And of course, the threat of waterborne diseases also looming large over the city, even though flood waters haven't still started receding.
That's right, and we are not just talking about central areas like Koturpuram, it's also in other areas in KK Nagar, especially where the water has been stagnated there till about the waist level, and there's been absolutely nothing that's done, and clearly there is also a pond that's nearby. So all of this water getting into that sewage as well as filth. So let me also go across to Sudhi, who will give you a much further perspective on how the condition in Koturpuram has been. A lot of diseases that will spread around, and it could perhaps cause an epidemic. So that is the fear among Chennaiites today. And what's the kind of action that the authorities are planning?
Talking about the kind of conditions that people there are living in. Now, I talk to elderly people there who don't want to leave because it's difficult for them to move out, but they still need medicines, food, drinking water, some kind of care and attention. So that is being provided by the NDRF. Now, most of the water is over many vehicles. The fuel has leaked from those vehicles. So the kind of water on which the boats are actually plying is full of fuel water, drainage and sewage water. So you're looking at a huge health epidemic if the waters don't recede. There was an attempt made to pump out the water, but obviously the machines that have been brought by the Tamil Nadu and Chennai administration simply not enough to cope with the amount of water which is actually stagnating there. So in that sense, what is needed now is fighting this particular crisis on a war footing. A few machines here and there simply not doing the job, especially when the heavens are opening up again, continuing to rain as it is still drizzling at this point in time. So it's not just the rescue effort by the NDRF and the army which is going to solve this problem, but it's going to be, the trick is for the Chennai administration to put more machines at work, more men at work to ensure that the water is drained out, physically using machines so that those people who have left their homes can actually go back home if the water levels recede.
In fact, even the ground that we are standing on is quite slippery, mainly because of a lot of diesel as well as oil that has actually seeped into this water here. So it's not just sewage that we are talking about, but it is a high level of contamination with regards to water here.
And Pratibha, you know, the Army, Navy and NDRF has sent in teams to help rescue those who are stranded in flood waters in Chennai. But there are also remarkable stories of common citizens that are coming to light, with people coming together to help senior citizens, to help children, to help women in need of urgent medical help.
That's right, because point number one, there is no power because there is a fear of electrocution. Point number two, batteries are drying up, and the towers are also getting, the areas where there are towers are getting inundated, so there are no signals. But despite all of this, the authorities are trying their best to help each other out. But you must also remember that even they are undergoing problems of communication. They are unable to really get to the place at the nick of time. So at this particular juncture, the spirit of Chennai has really not died. There are a lot of citizens coming forward, especially youngsters who are going around distributing food packets. Even yesterday we saw somebody who was here on a motorbike trying to distribute food packets to everyone, because this particular area here is the shopping hub in Chennai called the KK Nagar. And even in areas that are severely affected, like the low-lying Velachery areas, I have heard of mothers who have been trying to buy milk and distributing it to all the children out there. So this is the kind of spirit. I'm sure there are several such people like that even in Koturpuram. Sudhir, I'm sure you must have met a lot of these citizens who are also trying to take such measures to help each other out.
Yes, in fact, even before Koturpuram, while we were driving from Coimbatore towards Koturpuram, which is the south to the central, we actually saw a whole lot of people actually putting sandbags to ensure that the waters in the side streets don't spill over to the main road. So a lot of work actually being done by normal citizens. It's not the administration which is taking care of that, but it is normal citizens who are actually helping each other out at this time, because that's what they need to do, because the waters have entered their home, and water has been the great leveler. You have seen waters entering the homes of VIPs, water entering the homes of slums. So in that sense, it has been the great leveler, and they do realize that they need to stand with each other. They do understand that there are power cuts, mobiles are not charged, communication is a big problem, and the people in the Tamil Nadu and Chennai administration are also people whose homes have been inundated. So they do understand, there is a great degree of understanding, which is why probably the common citizen of Chennai is also helping each other out in a very positive manner.
And what was remarkable is that even in areas like KK Nagar, I did see a lot of people who come from very, very low economic backgrounds who are actually trying to pedal their way in a tricycle sort of thing with a stand, trying to carry people out. So a three-wheeler like that was carrying at least about 300 people to safety. So that is the kind of initiatives that we see from people around here in Chennai.
Right, and you know, Pratibha, even in Delhi, we've been hearing over the radio, we've been seeing in on the social media, on Twitter and Facebook, people are collecting supplies to send to Chennai to help those who are affected by the floods. What are the things that people in Chennai need most, and how can people in other cities help those in Chennai?
Well, one particular incident that I would like to relate here is the fact that I did go to a school where there were a lot of deaf, dumb and blind children who were stranded there, unable to get out because the water levels were about 5 feet, and we are talking of children who are just about 3 feet in height. And in such conditions, there are a lot of people who are coming forward to distribute food packets and water, but the need of the hour is to help them with medicines, soaps and daily needs like detergents as well as towels. So these are some of the things that still need to be given. But I do see some of the people who are actually distributing power banks because there is absolutely no power. People are unable to charge their phones. So these are some of the initiatives that are being taken. I'm sure Sudhir had also seen such kind of people in such kind of initiatives. So what is really different? Is it really the food that is the need of the hour? But I'm sure people are coming out with helping with other needs as well.
food, drinking water, medicines, really the need of the hour. But again, I think there is a sense of deja vu as far as Chennai is concerned, because remember, while the rest of the country has focused on it in the last 3 days, mainly because the Chennai airport shut down. But we have been reporting and covering this rain for more than 3 weeks now. So Chennai has had enough of rain for the last 3 weeks. November has seen phenomenal rainfall, breaking a 100-year-old record. So they would hope that the weather god, the rain god, takes some mercy, shuts off the tap in a sense. But yes, till such time that the water logging continues, till such time that the inundation continues, till such time that many areas are still submerged, they would need support, they would need help at this point in time. Perhaps not many of them are really willing to shift to relief centers. Like these ATMs that we are seeing on the side, all 5 ATMs are actually shut because there is no power, there is no diesel. So these are some of the things which they would really need the Chennai administration to attend to, so that daily life can actually go on as normal.
In fact, even supermarkets are closed. So even if you really need to buy a packet of milk, you're unable to actually get there. So even if you wade through all of these water, if you find all of these shops shut, where are they going to get some of these supplies? So these are some of the questions and challenges here in Chennai. But then people are trying their best to help each other out.
All right, Pratibha, thanks so much.
Now you can see the road behind. There's actually no street lights, and this is one of the main arterial roads of Chennai. There are no street lights. It's close to 6 now, and because there is a power cut, all the shops are shut because there are no power in the thing. So that is really going to be the concern as far as Chennai is concerned, to restore the power supply, keeping the safety aspect in mind as soon as possible.
Right. In fact, that is one of the major points, because I'm just living about 5 kilometers away, and once it gets dark, it's really going to be difficult for each of us to get home. So it is going to be a problem for every citizen to get back to their respective destinations with absolute parkers walking in the dark and wading through water.
And those are pictures of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is an Indian Air Force Boeing 737. Now the Prime Minister will be briefed.
Hello everybody. So I think most of you in the crowd are in schools now. So you've probably started to think about which college you want to choose, where you want to go to. And we're here to at least make sure you put Amrita in that list.